Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on the 1st of August 2012 and picking up right where we left off in the last episode, where what we had just finished doing is we had written a little test for a HTTP server and we were trying to get it to work. And our first attempt to get that to work didn't work. And I still don't know why. I brought in the Spike code from our HTTP server and that is working. So I must have done something wrong that I'm not aware of yet. Maybe I left out the response. I don't know, but it is working now. If I go into the node REPL, the read evaluate print loop, and require the server, and then start the server, and then load the page, it works. So now the question is, will the test work? The test still isn't working. So there's something about the way I'm doing that client test that isn't quite right. And that's okay. I think what we want to do is spend a little time in the REPL and figure this out. So let's go ahead and, again, load the server and start it. And now it works. Okay. Now let's try doing what we're doing in our test and see what we're doing wrong. So do we have HTTP? No, we don't. So let's require HTTP and then say http.get http localhost 8080. Oh, interesting. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and write a little spike to do a get. I thought it would be pretty simple looking at the instructions, but obviously it's not. I'm going to write a little spike for doing the get, use that understanding to clarify this, and then once I understand how to use get, I can come back and test drive it. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. All right, this was a tricky one, and it's entirely my fault. This code here is an exact copy of this example code here. But if we run this, we get address not available. But this documentation is for version 0.8.4, and I am running node 0.6.17. So my fault. When I went back to the 0.16 documentation, I saw that it required an options object rather than a connection string. And if I put that in, then everything works perfectly. So the problem is that my version of Node just isn't as modern as the documentation I was looking at. So rather than work around that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and update my version of Node. And all of you following along should make sure you're on the same version of Node. So I'm going to do that offline, but quickly update the README to the current version, which is 0.8.4. And I actually wonder if it might be a good idea to modify build script to enforce Node version. So I'm going to go ahead and do that upgrade and back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I've updated my version of Node. You can see it right here, 0.8.4. And now this should work properly. And it does. Okay, so that may mean that that our tests are going to work now. I hope so. But let's go ahead and check in the spike and go ahead and run. Look at that. It looks like it's working. Now, it's not stopping. So that's a little bit of a problem, but it's definitely working. So that's great. So let's go ahead and go back to our test. So we're running get. So if we don't actually, let's see what we can take out. Can we take this out and still have that test work? Yeah, good. But I don't think we can take this out and have the test work. No. And that's a much better error message. Connection refused. And I like that it fails nice and quick. So that's great. All right, good. All right. Okay, so we've got a sort of bare bones test here. It's obviously not good enough because it doesn't stop when it's done. So what we need to do is, I think we need the server to stop. And I believe the way to do that is with a teardown. I actually don't remember how to do a teardown in Node Unit, but hopefully this will work. Yeah, it's calling teardown. So we need this to stop. And how do we stop the server? Don't know. Let's go find out. I think server.close might do it. There's an issue here where we need to make sure this works properly, where we call stop before we call start. All right. But in the meantime, I think we can just do this. Let's go ahead and put this require here. And will that work? No, because we've left out a semicolon. Will it work now? Maybe, sorta. We broke something. So now it's giving us a connection refused error. When we have the stop running. And why is that? Let's take another look at this documentation. It's asynchronous. So let's just put some log statements in here and see if we can figure out the order things are happening in. Now, I could try to use a debugger. I haven't used the WebStorm debugger before, though, and I don't want to have to, because it's all asynchronous, I kind of just want to see the order in which things come out. You know what? We're calling test.done before the response callback happens, and I wonder if maybe that means that this get is happening after the server's been stopped. I'll bet you that's what's going on here. Okay, so we've got test started, server started, get called. Yeah, look at that. We call get, the teardown starts, the teardown ends, done is called, and then Jake's aborted. Isn't that interesting? Now this server stop, it takes a callback that tells us when the server is actually closed. I think we want our server to do the same thing. Now I'd like to test drive that. But before we do that, I want to just go ahead and pass in a callback. So we'll pass in a function that says, that gives us our stop callback. In order for that to work, we'll need to pass a callback through, and let's see what happens. Test started, server started, get called, teardown start, teardown end, done called, and then there's the stop callback. And Yeah, things are happening in all kinds of funky orders. So, and that is the nature of Node. So we'll need to fix that. One thing is we don't want the teardown to be done until after the callback is done. I don't know if we can do a test.done in the teardown. Let's find out. Yeah, that's not correct. I'll have to do a little research into that. So we'll do that. But in the meantime, this can be fixed by simply moving the test.done into here. Or not. Okay. It looks like our response callback isn't happening. Well, I'm not sure what's going on here. That's where we'll pick up next time. Lots of learning happening here. I hope that all of you enjoy coming through this journey with me as we figure things out. I could, of course, figure out everything off camera, but I think it's more interesting to do it this way. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time.